If you are a frequent listener to the podcast, you know that we have been sponsored by Fuji Sports for quite some time now. Whether you're looking for apparel, equipment, bags, or accessories, Fuji Sports has got it covered. Go to fujisports.com to see the latest selection of everything you need for your jiu-jitsu, judo, or MMA journey. That's fujisports.com. Let me take a minute to tell you about RŌL TV. If you're looking to take your jiu-jitsu to the next level and supplement your BJJ education, then RŌL TV has you covered. RŌLAcademy.tv has over 1,500 videos covering individual techniques, positions, and concepts, including seminars and workshops with top-level competitors and instructors like Chris Wojcik, Robert Drysdale, Aaron Hurley, Emily Kwok, and more. Whether you are a beginner or a more advanced student, RŌL TV is the online platform that can take your jiu-jitsu to the next level. What's up, everyone, and welcome back. If you haven't already, please hit the like, share, subscribe, download, listen, and whatever other button there is, and leave us a review wherever you do listen. This helps us bring you the great guests and amazing content that you've come to expect. In this conversation, Thomas's guest shares his journey through the world of jiu-jitsu. They discuss the legacy of Carlson Gracie, along with the evolution of training methods and the importance of competition and personal growth. He emphasizes the duality of jiu-jitsu as both a sport and a lifestyle, exploring the motivations behind why people train and compete. They also reflect on the challenges and responsibilities of being a school owner, the impact of jiu-jitsu on their lives, and the importance of community within martial arts. Here's the RŌL Radio with a Carlson Gracie Junior black belt, a black belt Masters World and NoGi World Champion, and head professor at Carlson Gracie West Coast headquarters, Tom Cronin.
Welcome to RŌL Radio.
And we are live. Professor, welcome thank you for joining the show. I know you are extremely busy, so this is a privilege to have you here to have this conversation.
Thank you.
I think what's interesting about you that you are part of arguably one of the oldest organizations in Jiu-Jitsu, or one of the OGs, right? One of the OGs, right? Carlson Gracie, and you might not be familiar with this, but I actually started with Carlson Gracie Senior.
Oh yeah, didn't know that.
Oh yeah.
Where?
Back in Chicago, all the way in around 2000.
At the Fitplex.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Have you had pleasure meeting the OG, the senior?
No, the way it went down, he passed right as I was starting to train, and so I've always been directly connected with his son Junior, and through Junior and many of his students, I got to learn a lot about the legend, the master, and developed a lot of respect for all the things that he did, and it's kind of been like an honor for me to try and help keep his legacy going however I can. Carlson Jr. is my master. That's my teacher, and I give all the credit to him. And he's worked so hard, and I feel like he honestly doesn't get enough credit. But I honestly, without bias, feel so lucky and happy that I landed on this team, because to me it's the coolest team. It's a lot of people in the modern age don't really understand the roots that much, and I like to think of the old school Carlson Gracie team as not the most organized, not the biggest, not the most well financially funded, but the toughest. They were the bad boys of jiu-jitsu, if you wanted to call it that. Like I don't want to say anything derogatory, like they were unorganized or anything, but like Master Carlson definitely went against the grain. I feel like, and many attribute, his contributions to kind of breaking the mold. Instead of keeping certain things within the family, he was known for teaching anybody, everything, and it didn't matter gi or no gi, with or without strikes. And I think, like the Humaita team and the Baja team with all the roots and stuff, all very amazing and accomplished. The Carlson team was like the underdogs, but for a time there in history in jiu-jitsu, if they showed up, everybody else was fighting for second place. you know.
that appear to be the theme, in a
Mhm.
sense of even to this day is described as the Carlson Gracie style.
Yeah.
Very much so pressure oriented and
Mhm.
only one directional forward. Do you find that as part of the organization today as a Carlson Gracie team? Is that
You
same mentality?
you can still find it. I still run into people that were either there in Rio or they trained with them or the kind of like the leaders of the time, and you feel the pressure. Like you get the honor to roll with some of these guys, and oh, a clock choke's a clock choke. No, man. Like a clock choke from that guy is much different than what you see on YouTube, or side control from that guy is way different, and you're like, why is it different? It's just little things, being on your toes, pressure shifting, this relentless, desire to control someone so badly that they want to give up. And I really like that. I think if you're going to have jujitsu in your life beyond just a recreational fitness activity, in a way where you're going to defend yourself or have to use it, in a realistic situation, you want that tenacious like skill set where, man, you don't want to make me fight you, because if we fight you're going to be sorry, kind of like skill set in your pocket. And I feel like as jujitsu becomes more and more practice, and it gets a lot of attention garnered around the world, like anything, it can get watered down, or there's different ways it's applied or influenced. And so I want to always train with those guys, like the Canutos, the Maderos, is, anytime you want to go see some legends, just hang out with Carlson Junior, and he'll take you around the world, and you can go see some pretty cool people and feel some really amazing jujitsu. And I like talking to some of the newer students, the really good purple belts, really good blue belts, even, blue belts that can tap out black belts and stuff, but they don't know who any of these guys are. So it's really fun when you do once in a while get to see, like, oh, this world champion blue belt, he thinks he's going to go and wipe the floor with this old guy, and then they're just like this, and they're in so much pain. It's very gratifying to see this. It's hilarious. I love it. So,
Why do you think some of these big names, not even related to Carlson Gracie team, but just in
mhm,
general, these OGs are not
mhm.
as known today? Like, I'm thinking Carlson Gracie particularly, but like Vito Belfort or
Yeah,
Rosario Tavares. There's so many of them. It's
so
just
many.
that we can just throw dozens of different names here, and
It's
I
like,
bet you most who listen to this are like, huh? Who are these guys?
I think in a way the internet has been good because it makes things more accessible, but it also floods us with a lot of useless garbage too. And you have everyone trying to be insta famous and doing their tutorial or their system that they created. They didn't create anything. They just kind of discovered something that a lot of people were already doing, and they put a cool name on it. Kind of like a lot of NoGi Jiu-Jitsu. They didn't invent anything. It was already there. They're just using it, calling attention to it. But I think the shelf life and the attention span of the average modern day sport athlete is very narrow. And the more we train, the more we appreciate how broad your view can widen, right? You see more, like, as you learn more, you realize how much you didn't know, right? That's what I think. And I'm still just amazed at stuff. I'll go to any tournament and see someone, and I'll watch them. I'll watch the blue belts, the purple belts, and some kid from Brazil. I don't know who they are. I'm watching, and I'm just like, you can be so impressed with their abilities. I try not to attribute a name or a title to someone's potential too much, because before there were champions, there was nobody, and somebody had to become champions, and they stood out for a reason, and that can exist with anyone. But when you have good athletes with good work ethic, good talent, mentored by somebody who kind of blazed the path, you have a world champion. Yeah, that guy can make some noise and be
I
fun.
let me make sure I understand what you're saying. Are you saying that the title is less important than the skill that you hold?
Well, definitely. I think most adult world champions would come to this realization at some point in their life when it's no longer realistic for them to replicate that again. You know, you become master, you become much older, and there's young, hungry guys, chasing that title that maybe you got a few years ago. We never stop growing, we never stop learning, and you have all these realizations, as I'm sure you know, that take place as we get older. I don't think that I talked to Mikey Musumeci. He came here and hung out with us for a few days. Once, amazing guy. He told me he was actually kind of like let down, a little bit disappointed after he won his world title because his life didn't change. He put so much time and effort and everything into it. And it was an amazing accomplishment. Cool, you're at the pyramid. He woke up the next day and still sinking in, but he's like, okay, I guess I go train today. And his life was pretty much the same. So then it's got to be a little bit like, well, what now? Not diminishing the accomplishment in any form. It's incredibly impressive and difficult, but I don't think anybody really stumbles upon jiu-jitsu and says, I want to do that because I want to win that medal at that level at this point in my life. I think there's so many more rewarding things to training, just in how you handle life in general, beyond just a title.
So as humans, how come we are so driven to chase that golden object, that shiny thing? And oftentimes that is that gold medal. It is that title. It is that perhaps local tournament, or I mean, there's so many things, but I feel like we oftentimes do chase that shiny object.
Everybody's different. I think on average, the wide reason people do it is seeking some form of self or external validation. Some people like to scrap. Those guys, those students that I have that are always injured and they just go fight anyway, they don't say anything. A lot of them don't even tell you they're registering. I've had this. Like, I'll be at a competition coaching. I'm like, you're here? What are you doing here? You had a broken arm last week, and they're like, I just want to fight. Those guys, maybe they got like some demons or something going on, and they just want to like be in the arena, and that's cool. That's cool. I understand that, like always wanting to be active. Some people have something to prove, maybe to themselves. Some people want to test themselves. Some want to win that gold so they can stay in the U.S. Some want to be able to do seminars and make a living, make some money, right? All kinds of reasons. But the irony that I see is a lot of people choose jiu-jitsu to test themselves, and they don't go test themselves. They want to be a mat warrior in class, right? They always want to be on top. They never want to play guard because being on their back is for sissies in their mind. And they don't want to roll with the tough guys because they don't want to lose. Well, man, you chose jiu-jitsu for growth. You should grow. It's just training. You should do the things that you are obviously not that great at. And don't come to class always trying to win. Come to class trying to grow. And then you'll always do better out there. It's my opinion.
Well, but that's almost like an oxymoron in a sense, where we say, hey, I want to be good at this. And then we say, I don't want to put myself in a vulnerable position. I mean, it's a contradiction of itself, right?
Mm-hmm. I think you have to separate training from competing. If I were in a street fight, I would never pull guard. If I ended up on my back, I don't want to be the guy that wished they trained guard, and didn't because I always wanted to win in class. I try to use my training environment to improve myself so that I can be more choosy in what happens. Yeah.
So wouldn't a lot of that boil down to essentially the environment we find ourselves in? I mean, if we are in a training room, our purpose should be different. If we are in a competition, purpose would be different. If we take it to the street, I mean, if we take this to the street, this really boils down to really narrow list of things that we will be doing, right? Distance control and ultimately removing ourselves, right? I mean, like, which might not necessarily be in a tournament, right?
Intelligent, decision making backed by good emotional control.
I like that.
Yeah. A gi or no gi, with or without strikes, a fight on the street, a competition. I'm gonna play the hand that's dealt me. And I think this is why there's belts. So many people get caught up in the rank. Oh, I should be a purple belt. I tapped that guy out or whatever. Man, it's got nothing to do with it. It's got a little to do with it, right? But whoever you are, no matter how much potential you have, no matter how good you are, if you train more, you'll be better, right? If you're Gordon Ryan, if you're Bushesha, whoever, if they train more, they'll be better. And certainly, if they're a black belt version, they should be a better Gordon Ryan at black belt than a blue belt Gordon Ryan, right? So I think that progression is very personal, very individual, and they learn how to switch modes and how to apply their skill set. We learn how to apply our skill set for the environment that we're in front of. So myself and a lot of the other black belts, we love watching the white belts roll in the academy because it's so entertaining. Because it's like World War III. They're just going at it like, my gosh, man, just don't break each other, okay? And we're just
But things are
cracking up.
so serious when you're back then. Like it
Yeah.
is almost a life and death situation, isn't it?
Yeah. I think that's one of my favorite things to do. One of my other favorite things to do is to pin wrestlers, like sweep them and mount them, and they just, the floor is lava. Like, I can't be on my back, and like, yeah, you're gonna take it. You're just gonna be there for a while. I like doing that. I like forcing people out of their comfort zones, and I think as we get comfortable anywhere, that's a good check mark to me to consider someone for promotion. Like, okay, this guy is an amazing wrestler. He's getting comfortable on his back. Okay, that's a sign of maturity and wanting to learn. So I consider this a lot. I don't really look at the medals like, we talked about a little bit. I want all of our students to at least try competing, and so they can figure out, what they got going on with themselves, so they can face those fears and those emotions. And, if they train right and they're in there, they got a good shot of winning. I would never send someone into a Shark Tank without a chance, But if they go there and they're really good in class and they freeze in the competition, it happens. It's okay. They face their fear. Go do it again. I at least want them to get comfortable being there and not freaking out, and at least trying some jiu-jitsu. Maybe you get a sweep. Maybe you get a takedown. Okay. Maybe you lose a decision. Maybe you got submitted by someone who's just better. This is reality. The thing I like about jiu-jitsu the most is that there's no hiding, there's no lying, there's no pretending. It is what it is, man. If they're better than you and you keep rolling with them, you're gonna realize that guy's better than you, and you can get better too. But yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of people they use jiu-jitsu in the wrong way, and it's another thing. Something I'd like to talk about. We often make the mistake of assuming that because the activity we're practicing stems from a place of martial arts, that whoever's doing it must inherently be a good-natured person. And this is just not true. It's one of the things that I'm most sad about when I see, black belt at whatever team, gets arrested for pedophilia with multiple girls. I'm like, man, this is okay. Now we're just talking about people being scumbags, and they're having to do something that can be potentially dangerous. We want to think, jiu-jitsu makes us a better version of ourselves, and I think largely it does. And the reasons for doing it are usually stemmed from a good place, with good intentions. We want to defend ourselves. We want our kids to be able to defend themselves. I've had people that I refused to train before because I didn't want to empower somebody who gave me like red flags. Like that guy, he could just go looking for fights, or I don't think they're somebody I would trust around my daughters, that kind of thing. So there's a large responsibility on us as teachers to be careful with, who we teach, I believe. And you can't see it all the time. People are sneaky, and they're the ones that do stuff like that.
Yeah.
They're usually the kind of people that have been tricking people their entire lives.
Yeah.
That they're not a snake, and they are.
Yeah. I believe it was Angie Rivera on the show that I had a while back, and he said that jiu-jitsu magnifies who you are. It doesn't necessarily make you better, but magnifies who you are. If you are a good person, it will make you a better person. But if you're a scumbag, it's going to magnify that tenfold. And it really kind of just makes us bigger at where we are. Is not necessarily the change, but the progression into where we were going originally.
It's true.
Would you agree with that?
I agree with that 100%. I think that's a really good way of putting it. I haven't heard him say that, but I think that's, the guy's been around forever. He knows a lot. I also think that jiu-jitsu is not a cure. There's a lot of people, PTSD, personal trauma. It's a really good tool to cope, to give yourself that distraction, for an hour a day, to stop thinking about something that can be so heavy on your mind, and just stress in general. It's really good for us to give ourselves a break, some relief to keep going. A lot of our police officers, I'm sure you have the same, our police officers that train, they're the happiest guys on the mat because their jobs are so stressful and they're so jaded dealing with negativity and terrible things all day long. When they come here, they're smiles and hugs and chokes and everything. But those same police officers, all of them have a whole bunch of friends that they keep trying to get to come to class because they know it would be good for them. But those guys won't do it and they need it so bad.
Why is it so hard? Why is
ego.
it so hard, especially for them? Like, and I have so many of them here in my academy, but it's like this is out of all skills that you would be seeking. This is probably one of the most important ones. And what would we say? 95% of police officers do not train, and they don't even want to train. They don't want to even entertain training.
It's weird. It's got to vary amongst demographics. We have a lot of officers, but I think they're the minority in their department. I've offered to train law enforcement for free at the suggestion of a friend in San Diego who does that. Nobody came. Nobody above anyone who was already seeking training. And I called him and I asked him about that. And he's like, it's true. They don't, but I keep putting it out there. And once in a while I'll get a guy like, hey, just let me sponsor you. And some people were, probably a few years ago before COVID saying like, oh, make it mandatory. They got to at least be a blue belt. I don't really think that's an answer either, because then your standards change, well, what's a blue belt according to how you use jiu-jitsu? And then some school owners are just going to see that as a money grab and put them
I lost your video for a second.
Oh, hang on. People keep trying to message me. Sorry. Some people are going to be like, okay, well, I'm going to make a special program just for law enforcement, the Blue Belt program, and we're going to charge this much to the department. And some people are going to do that. That's their business model. I think jiu-jitsu is the kind of thing we just do for the rest of our lives. And some training's better than none. You train a few years, that's pretty legit. But I want to train till the day I die. And because it never stops being beneficial, in different ways.
Really good friend, my professor, Alberto Cronin, just recently I was talking to him and he made a comment that really stuck in my mind. He said, we don't train people. We're not trying to come to class. It's not about that. It's not about showing techniques. It's a lifestyle. The moment it becomes a lifestyle, this is when you're winning. This is when you are ahead of all of this.
I like that. Yeah.
It's like the moment this becomes, and I was reflecting on this, and this is so true. Longer you train, and I'm wondering if you can relate to that. Like I remember being a purple belt where, like, jiu-jitsu became more important than hanging out with friends. Like jiu-jitsu became, I was looking for reasons to go to jiu-jitsu versus not to go to jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean? Like it turned that priority where it's like you had to skip a session and you go into withdrawal almost. Like I'm missing out.
Yeah.
Have you found yourself in the same position?
Man, I still get if I don't train after a couple of days, I get irritated. Like, and I even tell people I get injured all the time these days. I went for like 4 years without a single injury. It was amazing, and now it seems like every week I'm getting injured somehow. But even if I'm not rolling, if I'm just there, present in the gi, on the mat, helping people, my mind is in it, I just feel better. And so some students, they get hurt, they just won't come because they want to roll so bad. And I try to tell them, like, look, you can be here in other ways that are really helpful to you. You observe a lot of things when you're not fighting for your life against one person. You get to see, wow, that guy did that guy did that, that's not working. You get to think outside of your little box sometimes. But a point to what you said with it being a lifestyle, some people are seeking something that does not exist when they go to train. And maybe that's just where they're at in their life at that time. But I agree with your professor that once you've just said, yeah, I train, forget the rank, forget how much experience you got. If I run into somebody at a grocery store and it's like, you do jiu-jitsu? And they can say yes, even if they just go on Sundays. I agree, they're winning, and it's always going to be there for you if you want it. If you want to train more, it'll pay you back. But at least, a lot of people take breaks too, right? Like, man, don't take long breaks. Just if you need to dial it back a little bit, okay, but keep it in your life on some level, and then when you feel motivated again, you'll be glad you did.
It's hard to come back after a break, isn't it?
Very. It's sad because all of our kid champions that were just naturals, right? They beat everybody up. They ride this wave of success. They go into this undefeated streak, and then they take a break because they get a girlfriend or they get a car or they want to go do kid stuff, which I think is really important too. And then they come back and all the people they used to beat up are getting them, and it's hard for them. So they either jump back in all the way or they disappear altogether. So I don't know, if you could do it once, you couldn't do it twice. It might take you a little longer. But I tell the parents too. We got some pretty passionate parents that are like all about their kids, right? And their kids do really good. Sometimes they push them too hard. And I try to tell them, man, you got to let them be kids. Not every kid is going to want to be the world champion. And it's so hard. And if you don't train, you don't know how hard that is. It's just the truth.
Yeah.
Let them play other sports. But for the ones that are all about it, even if it's just how they are right now, maybe they go off to school or wrestling or something. But if they're like, Mom, Dad, I just want to do jiu-jitsu and I just want to win a bunch of tournaments and whatever, we have a program for that. And it's hard and it's grueling and it's demanding, and we hold them accountable everywhere from having to have a good grade point average in school and being well behaved at home to not missing class and committing. But the average student just wants to train because it's fun. And they have a little bit of a competitive nature that they need to satiate. And that's fine too.
So with all this being said, we talked about gold medals not being as important as a skill. We talked about, kids focusing on being kids. At the same time, lifestyle is important and consistency of training and all of this. I can't help to think or ask myself, is jiu-jitsu for everybody then? Like, can everybody find something in jiu-jitsu, or really is it more of a natural selection of not everybody will stick around? And I'm not talking about old school when you and I were starting, because we both know not everybody's sticking around.
Definitely
But
not.
I'm talking about more today when this becomes a service, a service that's being offered to large diversity of ages.
What do you think? Do you think it's for everybody?
Well, I'm curious what you say.
Okay, well, I think anyone can do it. I've had students with no legs. I've had students with severe mental challenges, and they could do it. I think anyone can do it. I don't think it's for everybody.
Mhm.
I think
Yeah.
parents play a big role in it too. Parents who pacify their kids and give them whatever they want, make them spoiled. Don't bring me your kid because you spoiled them, and then you want me to teach them how to lose when you don't back that up at home.
I agree. Yeah.
And then they get super hyper defensive when their kid comes to them crying, "Oh, Billy's a bully and he beat me up, or he called me a bad word or something," You're
Yep.
preparing them for life. And
Yep.
sometimes things just go down and you got to let it happen. And of course we are on top of it, but we don't want kids getting injured, and we don't want kids behaving in a rude manner either. They should be good citizen. But I'm really glad we have cameras. Because a lot of times, a kid will come and be like, "Oh, he kicked me in the butt or something while I was turned around,"
Yeah.
and I'm like, "Really?" And
Yeah.
the dad will be like, "What's wrong? Who's this kid I'm hearing about?" I'm like, "Well, let's go look at the cameras." And the little guy's like,
Yeah. Let me withdraw.
and we go look at the cameras, and he was the one that did it. And
Yeah.
the dad's just like, "I'm sorry," and he grabs him. "Let's go home."
Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
don't see him for a couple days. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's just social interaction, right? That's just
Yeah.
what happens. So I don't think it's for everybody these days. We have a lot of people that um maybe you call them soft. I don't know. Just a lot of people that are so worried about feelings, like safe spaces and feelings. And look, I am not like over the top, like my way or the highway kind of person. I live by two things. I always try to treat people the way that I would like to be treated, and I always try to see things from other people's points of view. I think if you do this in life, you're gonna go far. It's not gonna let you down. There's limits to it, of course, but and man, sometimes everybody's different, but a lot of people these days, they want to walk into a room and have everything be about them. And that is just not the way life is, man. And I couple this with remembering as a school owner that my students are not my property. They are my clients, and they're paying me for a service. So my job is to give that service to them and try to be as understanding and help them grow as much as possible. But if they leave and go to another school, as long as they don't burn a bridge, like stiff me on a contract or a bill or dip out or say, "Oh, I just want to go do soccer instead of jiu-jitsu," and then I find them at the other school down the street, like, you didn't have to do that. You could have just told me you don't like it here. You want to go somewhere else. It's okay. I'll just thank them for the time that we spent together and the money that they paid me for being a student, and wish them well and see you in the competition. that's,
But
that's
many find this very, very difficult.
oh yeah,
If
I understand why.
me too. Like I can see the opposite side of it all. As many instructors or even school owners will say, "But I invested X amount of time and I spent extra time. We develop a relationship, and now, quote unquote, you stabbing me in the back and going across the street.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
not like." A lot of this even feeds into like the old school mentality of you can't talk to those guys, you can't train all that, we are a team, we need to stay together, all that.
Yeah.
Whether right or wrong, this whole situation is very complex and very difficult.
It is complex, and a lot of people don't realize how much goes into it. I have had, well, you trained with Master Carlson, so you understand the term Creonchi.
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
I'm very familiar with this.
To me, there are reasons to leave a place, and maybe you move, maybe you just don't get along with some of the guys there, and you're not having a good time, or maybe you can't afford it. There's a bunch of reasons, right? I feel like a creonchi is not somebody who, just because they leave your school, you call them a creonchi or they stabbed you in the back. I feel like a creonchi is somebody who came to you, asked you for your help, and said, "I can't pay. Help me for free. Give me all your time and attention. Answer my phone calls at 2 in the morning. Come and check on me every once in a while, even though I don't check on you. And you do all those things. You feed them, you pick them up, you train them, you drop them off, you compete with them, you coach them, you're there for them. They never pay you a penny. You get them good, and then they say, oh, there's nobody here for me to train with. I tap everybody out. I'm going to go to another team. That's a Crionchi to me. Somebody who asked for you to give you your best, your best to them. And when you do, they reward you by leaving, and you got nothing out of it. So if somebody does all of these things, and they didn't pay me, that's kind of my fault because I let them do it.
I was about to ask, like,
yeah.
who does this fall onto? Because from the other side, we allowed that to happen, right? We present this help and these circumstances to help these individuals, right?
Yeah, I went through this as a young school owner, and you're very motivated and excited for your friends in your circle, and you give them everything, you put your soul into them, right? And then they dip out, and then you get your feelings hurt. Okay. Then after this happened a few times, I told myself, well, I'm not going to do that again because it just frankly hurts too much. It feels like, a relative just left you for something else. And then, so now I look at it like, okay, if you're paying me, I will give you my best. And if you leave on good terms, there should be no problem. You got something out of it. I got something out of it. And if you want to go to that school that opened up down the street because you think it's better for you, I may not agree with you, but I'm going to respect your wishes and wish you luck and say hi to you when I run into you on the street. No problem. That way, if you ever decide to come back, it's not personal. Now, the other students, I can't speak for them. They might roll with you, extra hard when, yeah, he's back. Let's get him, like, but for me, I'm happy to see you. I'm happy you came back and stuff like that. As long as you don't disrespect the environment or, students, man, they always, whether they want a belt or they're wondering why they're not getting promoted or they think someone doesn't like them, they'll go talk to all the other students and spread drama instead of go to the one person who can do anything about it. And I'm like, why would you do this? You're not going to solve it this way. And then you start, creating a little bit of toxicity around yourself. And then people don't want to train with you. And you're like talking smack, about their professor. So you're kind of making them choose you or their professor. So I don't understand why people do this. Maybe it's fear. But I try to be approachable, even if somebody's just wondering why they're not getting promoted. Sometimes it's just, I just haven't gotten to you yet. You got to be patient. But usually there's a reason. Usually there's a reason. Like, okay, you're good at jiu-jitsu, you tap all these guys out, whatever, but you take all the easy rounds, or you won't go even try a competition, or you haven't progressed a lot. You just have an amazing work ethic, and you'll go to sleep before you tap. I got to see growth, and I got to see being a good training partner and treating other people well and trying to foster growth in others, not just be about yourself. Because
is this something that you put a lot of effort into as far as rewarding students and from a rank perspective, or is this more of a gut feeling, or something that you internally process, or maybe there's a more formal process where you have check boxes and so on?
I like to think I verbally put it out there a lot, but I don't. I need to do better at it. I like when people actually they'll talk to another student like, man, why do you promote that guy and not me? And that student will tell them, why don't you go talk to him? You don't show up and ask for a belt, right? That's grounds to just get put to sleep. But you can be like, hey, what am I doing wrong? Or like, I've been at this is a very like American way of an entrepreneurial mentality, right? Like we go into something hard, want to do our best, we want to get rewarded, we want to succeed, and we want this stuff. It's great. I love it. Point me in that direction. I'm going to go, I'm going to do it. And I want to know what the criteria is for me to accomplish my goal. So I welcome this when people want to talk to me about it. If they come to me and say, hey, am I doing something wrong? Or is there something I should be doing better? It's easy for me to answer. I'll just hand them a list. Work on these things. I want to see. Tell me when you have some success, and I'll watch you when you spar. Let's go to the competitions. Let's try it. Competitions are a great way to gauge and measure your abilities, right? I don't think like you, gold medals are cool. They're great. I like them, but they're not the real reason to compete. The real reason to compete is see how good you are and how much you've improved and how you handle yourself emotionally and how you handle losing. I have had students that won right out of the gate and went for like 2 years without a single loss or a point scored on them. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be bad. Let's see how it goes. That day comes when they do lose and they lose. They quit jiu-jitsu. So sometimes they come back, sometimes they try, but like, it's hard to watch a grown man in his 30s behave like this, right? Like they cry and scream and throw stuff and then they disappear and you can't find them anywhere. It's like, wow, man. But I don't know. I think back to your point, a person's character, it's not my job to tell people how to live their lives. But if you want to get rank from me in this building, how you conduct yourself in this building plays into when you get your rank, you know? The funny thing is people will say things to their training partners, the dumbest stuff, and they think it's not going to get back to me, man. I'm like,
why does that happen? Why does
yeah, I can tell you, it happens to you too. Like, they're all going to tell me.
It's like everything gets up to the top. Everything
Mhm,
at some
mhm.
point or another.
I'm like, it would have been much easier if you just came to me directly.
Right. Like we would just save so much time and effort.
So I just kind of kick back and watch and let it happen and observe and hope they correct their course heading. And if they can't, man, I'm okay. I'm sorry you did that to yourself, but we're gonna train.
Do you ever feel like missed opportunities to help people in a
Yeah,
sense of like if I said something, maybe this didn't happen, but it's
of
not my
course.
place to say something.
Yeah, I feel that. It's just, you know, we're teacher student first, business client, first, friends. It happens. You make friends here, of course. I want to be friends with everybody, but I got to be professional first. And sometimes I've eased up on it, um, but not so long ago, before I got married and stuff, I wouldn't go hang out with the students. I wouldn't. They were doing, going out having, get-togethers and gatherings in town and stuff, and it looked like a lot of fun. And I might pop in for a couple of minutes or whatever, but I wouldn't. I generally wouldn't hang out with the crowd because I needed to keep myself separated so I could be professional. And this is always hard sometimes. Now I got, my wife that you interviewed and our baby, and we have some friends. And so there's like a few of us. We like to do stuff together. But when you find out somebody's upset or sad or left or, something happened a long time ago and you're just now finding out about it, of course I feel bad. I'm like, man, if I would have known that, I would have done something or I would have helped. But, I get over 500 students here. I cannot physically check on everybody all the time. And they know where to find me. They know where I'm at. And if they need to talk, the door is open. I'm happy to talk. And I don't have all the answers. I feel like when you get your black belt, they're supposed to give you a therapist card too.
Wait, what? That doesn't happen?
I'm still waiting for mine in the mail. But it's natural, right? They're trusting you with knowledge.
Yeah.
So knowledge comes in all kinds of forms. And I think the best knowledge we can have is, what we acquire through personal mistakes. And I've made plenty of mistakes, man. I've messed something up like every day of my life for as long as I've been on this planet. So I try to be humble, convey lessons with humility, always lead with the best intentions. And you know how it is. It's easy to feel betrayed and stabbed in the back, especially when they're friends of yours. So I try not to get lost in that too much. Like, man, People are going to do what people do. As long as I do what I feel I should be doing the right way, I can't feel not too bad about, something that goes south, because I tried. It's all you can do in life. So, yes, I do feel a certain degree of missed opportunity in helping people get through things, but I'm just trying my best. Yeah.
And that's all we can do. Just
Mhm.
try our best.
Yeah.
People will be people. I mean, that's one of the certain things in life.
I like to share with my wife that one of the things that I did change as a young school owner, a new school owner, I owned my school at Purple Belt, we want to believe everybody's going to have the same standard of moral obligation and behavior as you do. Instead of being frequently disappointed in people and feeling like, they said one thing, did another, they let me down, whatever, I kind of lowered my expectation of people. Okay, they all say Carlson Gracie for life, and they're checkmate 2 months later or whatever. Instead of like expecting this, I expect this. And as a result, instead of being frequently disappointed because I was expecting this, I expect this. It's more reasonable. And then once in a while, you have this guy and that guy and that guy. They
Positive surprise.
go to that old expectation, and it's like, okay, you're a real one. I don't fault people for doing what they think is right. I don't think people do wrong things on purpose. They're doing what they think is right and they feel is right. There's just a right way to leave and a wrong way to leave, and that's okay. And I don't seek people's, I think loyalty is a two-way street.
Agreed.
And I have to give what I'm expecting. And if somebody leaves, well, maybe they just weren't happy. And that's okay. Man, I tried. You paid me for the time I was trying. You're over there, I'm over here. Cool. Doesn't have to be bad. Yeah. Or I have a student, Gene. He's older. He opened a school on the south side of our town in Temecula. And I had a couple students want to go train there instead of here because they were closer to his age, and they just felt like he could associate their challenges on a more personal level with them. I understand. It's fine. It's totally cool. But in return, he'd have a couple of people that wanted to compete in the adult division a lot. He might send them to me. I think this is a sign of maturity amongst instructors to recognize, like, sometimes you just got to let go. You can't hold on to everybody for all eternity and have them sign their soul over to you. They're paying you. They're doing you a favor too. And yeah, we put time into people. It's a development. But look, if your reasons for helping that person are altruistic and good intentions, they don't come with strings. They don't come with conditions.
Yep.
You're either gonna do it because you feel it's right and you're getting paid, okay? Or you're doing it because you feel like they need to owe you something. I don't know. It's kind of weird to me. I think it's a lot easier lifestyle and easier to relax in my day if I feel like I did what I was supposed to do. They did what they're supposed to do, and I hope they're still here. But if they gotta go, it's okay. It's all right. Mhm.
By far less stressful, at least that way.
Yeah, I hate stress.
I couldn't agree with you more. Well, let's pivot this a little bit. How does it all started for you? Do you remember day one?
Oh yeah. Funny story. I was living in Chicago, back around Y2K.
Okay.
And I had wanted to start jiu-jitsu. I was in a marriage, had a house full of kids. I had wanted to start jiu-jitsu. I was a workaholic then. I have been my whole life. I try to tone it down nowadays, but I would work all day, have very little time for the family, and I wanted to start training. And I remember being told, that's dumb. That's like, going to the gym, doing martial arts, all that stuff, in that chapter of my life. that's the kind of stuff single guys do. So I was like, all right, whatever. I just worked, and got divorced anyway. So years later, I relocate from Virginia to California, Southern California, and I'm at a car wash, and it was just myself and my daughter, who was in middle school at the time. She was needing some kind of activity, and I had always wanted to train jiu-jitsu, and I was at a car wash, and I got a flyer, and it had Master Carlson Junior on it. It said, "Come learn from the Gracies." I was like, "Oh, cool." It's like golden nugget. So I did. I called. We went. My daughter and I. She's a little shy. We checked out a couple schools in the area. She didn't really like it, and I didn't really jive with it either. It was kind of like a MMA environment, not really conducive to what we wanted. And I remember our very first experience with Master Carlson and a couple of black belts. This guy named Christian, this other guy Ben, was just so fun. It was so like welcoming and not what you would expect. And she immediately was like, "Yeah, I love jiu-jitsu," and I did too. And we got hooked. And I had never really wanted to own a school. I ended up owning a school because I had to protect the environment that we enjoyed so much, kind of. I already had a successful business. I didn't need to, switch gears that way, but I ended up creating this school out of necessity, because that school that we went to, it fell through, and Master Carlson was still in Chicago. And then so we got together and said, like, really like training with you. All the guys here really like training with you. Can we do something where you come out and teach us as you can? And it kind of took off from there. I was a white belt at the time, and if I could change anything, there's not a whole lot I would change about my personal start in jiu-jitsu. I think is amazing, and the reason we have the school that we have is because of the way it started. And
We'll
I
dig into this a little bit more. So you are a successful entrepreneur. You have your own business, and there is no need to open a school. So at that point, it seems to me like career is not a driving factor here. You want to create a community. You want to preserve the community that you're surrounded by.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, not a lot of people would think, I'm going to open my own place. I mean, that's probably not on the priority list for many.
You're right. And that's not what it was for me either. I didn't set out to open my own place. I set out to build an academy for Junior, where he could come and teach us. We had about less than 20 students that we were all like pretty tight with each other. Some of them are still around on the mat today, and they could tell you, like, those are fun times. My friend Chad Lewis and I, he's a black belt here. We were at a friend of mine. He had a landscaping business named Ben, and Carlson was gone. Carlson Junior was gone, and we just said, "Hey, let's go buy some mats." So Ben and I bought some mats off eBay. We laid them down in his warehouse next to all of his construction equipment. And Chad came, and Scott came, another black belt, and we just rolled. We just rolled, and that was our training. We didn't have an instructor. We didn't have anybody, and we're all like white and blues. I think Scott was actually a purple belt, so he was like the man. And so a bunch of us went and competed in the mundials at the pyramid, and I won as a white belt world champion, if you want to call it that. So, watch out. Then all of a sudden, everyone was like, "Dude, let's open a school." And so I reached out to Master Carlson, and I was like, "Look, we have a lot of people that want to train under you. If we get a facility and we lay it out, can we do this?" And at first he said no. At first he was like, "Man, I had a bad business experience with the guy that tried to do this with me last time. I like you guys, but okay." And so we were sad. We were going to keep rolling anyway. We didn't really want to join any of the other schools because everybody had some history with all of them. We all checked them out. And we're like, we just wanted to be with friends. We wanted to have our community, right? And I think that's really important, in your environment, that you're having a good time or you won't keep doing it. So, and then after, a couple of days, he hit me up and he said, look, I'm coming out to visit family. Show me what you got, and, we'll take a look. So we were all excited. And we met, showed him the place, and he started with, I'll take these papers back and I'll show them to my attorney and I'll think about it. Of course, we're like, "Aw." But it didn't take but one day, and before he even left, he's like, "I like it. Let's do it." So man, after that, we built this place and we were training like maniacs and it was fun. We call those the blue mat days. Same place, same mats. They're just covered in white now. But I didn't own the school. Well, my name was on stuff like the lease and everything, right? I was white belt. So he brought a newly promoted black belt in, who, to his credit, was very skilled. He was very good. Wasn't very experienced as a professor in handling like all the things that take place in an academy. He's new, and it didn't work out with him right away. He didn't have like the teaching acumen to not bring his personal problems to the mat and share them with all the clients. So that didn't work out. And we went through a couple of instructors, and it finally got to a point where, coincidentally, in my construction job, things were starting to go a little south. There were some clients that weren't paying, filing bankruptcy, stuff like that. I had to make a decision. And we had a black belt here that we didn't really know. We were just giving him a chance, and he had said all the right things to get the job. Turned out to be a very devious person, very, very like trying to hook up with students, trying to, get people to not like Master Carlson or me, saying toxic things, just talking about us behind our back because he wanted to open his own school down the street, which he tried to do. And so it was like, so I ended up stopping my construction business and just focusing on jiu-jitsu. A lot less money in jiu-jitsu, but a lot happier. And it ended up being the best decision for me. And I got rid of all the bad
How
people.
old are you at that point in time?
I was 37. Yeah, I was 37. Yeah.
And what rank are you?
Purple at that time.
Okay, so
when I decided to just do jiu-jitsu,
yeah,
37. Yeah, I was
okay.
37.
Let me get this straight, because this is the interesting part of your life or of your story. You're 37. That means you are not a young stud. That
No.
means you probably you need to be established in your mind in a sense of maturity. Like these are not, hey, this is cool, or I'm gonna like girls are gonna like me, or I don't know, I want to be this guy, the shiny object in town, right? Everybody looks, I want to be the center of attention. That's not, at least I'm getting that sense.
That wasn't it for me.
There has to be a decision-making process during all of this. I'm giving up steady income. I'm giving up job security and life security to start this thing that I love. But who the hell knows if it's going to work out? There's like a huge question mark around this.
It was scary.
And on top of it, you're not even a black belt.
Right. I was definitely tested when I made this decision. I
What's going through your mind? Walk me through that part. Like there has to be a day when you're thinking about this and you're like, what do I do?
One day in particular comes to mind when that guy that I had to fire, not the first black belt, but the third one, started like, sowing seeds of distrust and making drama and talking gossip amongst his students. To me is like the cardinal sin. Why would you mess up an environment that everybody comes to have a good time and get a break from their lives? Why would you poison that environment, right? I was standing at the back roll-up door looking out and just thinking, wow, it's not fun right now. It's not fun anymore coming to class because I know that guy's doing what he's doing. And I know the students are over here. They don't know what's going on. And so I told Master Carlson, I said, look, this is what's happening. I don't want to be here. Either he's got to go or I'm out. it wasn't an ultimatum. It was just where I was at, He said, I don't want you to go anywhere. And he said, come see me in Chicago. Tell me what's going on. I did. And we made the best decision for me to inherit the school that I basically bankrolled as an owner now, because that gave me the ability to, get the bad stuff out. And we had an agreement that, I would just assume that role, and he would come and visit like always, and he still does. And so when I got back, I just cleaned house. And the next year was really difficult because I committed myself to the academy so much, and I wasn't doing the construction stuff anymore. I didn't have that revenue coming in to float, with startup. And man, there were times I had no money. I had no food. I wouldn't leave the school. I would drive to the school in the morning and just stay all day because I didn't have enough gas to go home and come back. And I would just stay. And a couple of close friends knew that. And they would bring me like food and stuff. But I put everything I had into this place because it was somewhere that my daughter and I had the best time of our life. And it really was that. And, I had a pretty bad divorce previously where I wasn't in control of very much in my life at all. And I felt that jiu-jitsu was very empowering for me to at least control what happened to me. Yeah. So I like that. And I like that my daughter started to come out of her shell and make friends. And, she was getting confident. And I didn't expect, I always wanted to train for kind of selfish reasons, I guess. But I didn't expect the level of responsibility that comes with other people showing up, and they either have a good time or a bad time. And like when you change instructors, kids get sad. When you are wondering if the lights are going to stay on, all these people that need training in their life, all of a sudden you start to account for that. So I remember feeling that level of responsibility, like this mat is home for so many people. If I give up, they don't have what we've been enjoying anymore. And so that was my reason, for pushing so hard. And it took a little while. I wasn't a black belt, like you say, and I'm not advising anybody to go out and open a school as a blue or purple, and you should be a black belt. But that's just what I had to work with. So I always made it a lot of people didn't even know I owned the school. A lot of people. I always made it a point to try to have black belts here. We had one black belt, Tino. He came in at that time, but he didn't come here to teach. He came here to train. And once in a while he would teach a great class. So it was nice having him around. And we had another black belt, Andre, who was a mutual friend. And he came up from about 40 minutes away at least once or twice a week. And just having access to those black belts to help us meant the difference. It was the biggest difference for us, meant the world. And so
Let me ask you this. No gas. You need to stay at the academy.
Yeah.
No food.
Yeah.
Friends bring it to you. You're a purple belt. This whole thing literally is you carrying all this whole thing, this whole idea on your back. There's not many people to help you around you.
No. And I was a single father.
And you're a single father.
Yeah.
Is there a moment where you are thinking to yourself, screw this? I mean, like, there's so many easier ways to live than doing this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, I'm just reflecting. Most people I know would say, ain't worth it.
You're right. Most people would. And I can understand why they would.
Yeah.
It never became a decision for me of like, is it worth it or not? It was always like, can I do it or not? And I didn't know, but I knew I was going to try my best. And if it didn't work, I could sleep at night because I really tried.
Where is this determination of I need to try. You've used that phrase so many times during this conversation. I just want to try. Just try, nothing else. I'm not expecting. You even talk about expectations, lowering your expectations, but we just try. Where is this coming from?
I don't know, but it's worked pretty well for me my whole life.
I would say so.
And I think one of the best things jiu-jitsu does is teach you how to handle losing and not let it define you.
Yeah.
I got knocked down in life a bunch, even at a young age. And there's always a time when you have to decide, right? Am I going to get up or am I going to just stay down here? And I always just got up. And so I try to just apply those lessons to everything. And sometimes it gets me in trouble because I bite off way more than I can chew. You start you start thinking you can do everything. But this is true. I say nobody can do everything, but you can do anything. It's just how much time do you have? Yeah. So I got a lot of things going on at the same time, but I feel very blessed by God and very, very lucky to be surrounded by some truly amazing people. And I think, birds of a feather, like they probably are very much the same way. And I feel like it doesn't matter what you're faced with, you can survive anything except death. And there's always a way. There's always a way to get through whatever you're going through. Yeah. Maybe that's why I like jiu-jitsu so much, because it's the ultimate physical practice of exactly that, right? Find your way out, man. Yeah.
Before we start wrapping this up, I'm wondering if you ever thought about what your life would look like if you didn't pick up that flyer and you never stepped on a mat. You and your daughter never went to that first class.
My life would be worse. Definitely would be worse. I mean, no amount of money or financial success can substitute for, what's in my heart.
What is the one single thing that jiu-jitsu gave you over your entire life? Can you point it to one lesson, one wisdom that you learned?
Like one thing I've learned, like as an element? Yeah.
I'm not talking about technical jiu-jitsu. I'm talking about life.
Yeah, life lesson. Yeah, I definitely, you can do it. It's not going to be easy. It might not happen on the first try, but whatever it is, you can do it. You just have to decide if it's worth it or not. Is it worth the broken bones to win that title? Is it worth whatever? But you definitely can find a way to do anything you want to do.
Was it worth it for you?
Definitely. I'm still learning. I'm still paying and I'm still receiving. And I cannot thank people enough. I cannot express enough gratitude that I'm having the time of my life right now. I'm in a wonderful, loving marriage. I have a brand new toddler. It's like all the things that I always strived for have been, coming into focus. The students are doing really well. I've always had a passion for classic cars. I'm working on those a lot. And I get to see the success of others, which is so gratifying. That's the bonus, I didn't expect. I said I trained for selfish reasons, me and my daughter. But it's seeing other people come in on the same wavelength and help them have success. That is like, you'll see me cry at tournaments once in a while, not because I won or lost, but if my students win, and they're like, yeah, I'm like, dude, how can you not get emotional, right? Yeah, that's about all. I'll admit it. I'm a guy, but I shed some tears once in a while, man. And that's, even if they don't thank you, it's okay. I didn't do it with strings, I did it because that's what I felt like I should be doing.
Is that the most rewarding part?
So far, I think the most rewarding part is when our toddler, she's 2, Nova, she just started training, if you can believe it. And she's training, but she's doing the warm up and stuff, but she's trying. I think the most gratifying part is, if I get to see her really embrace jiu-jitsu and have some success, of course, that's gonna be it for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm confident that will come. I mean, that's being a parent, being a father is one of the best experiences.
Yeah,
And
selfishly,
I have 6 and 8-year-old, so I'm not far away from you, so I
there
know
you go.
exactly what you're going through.
So far, I think like the most gratifying part I have experienced so far was seeing my wife win her first world title at Masters. She won in within a 12-month time span. She won NoGi Worlds and then followed that up with Masters Worlds in the gi, and all right after her pregnancy. And
Yeah,
that's incredible. Like so I was very motivated because I saw in her not arrogance, not an overabundance of confidence, but determination. Yeah, go out on the shield, and live and die by the sword kind of mentality. And man, she did it, and yeah, I cried like a baby.
I bet, I bet,
So
I bet.
yeah,
And for those of you guys who are listening to this, if you want to hear that story, take a look at the episode 212. We had your wife on the show end of last year, and what an amazing story! What an amazing story! Truly inspiring story, truly. Well, look, we've been at this for well over an hour at this point, and
thank you.
before we start wrapping this up, if anybody wants to connect with you directly, where are you at, and what's the easiest way as a follow-up to this conversation for any of the students who want to connect with you and perhaps use your story as a part of motivational inspiration for them to start or continue
Okay.
what they do on the mats?
I'm really approachable. We don't have like an answering service at the school. It's just my cell phone. So I'll give everyone my cell phone number. If I don't answer, you can text me. It's 951-837-9685. If you want any information about coming to visit, we don't charge mat fees. Just come wear a real jiu-jitsu gi and come clean and have good hygiene, and we're happy to see you. And yeah, just shoot me a text. I'll send you the schedule, the address, all that stuff. We are in Southern California, about an hour north of San Diego, about 45 minutes south of Corona. And so it's the Temecula Murrieta area. And yeah, it's a great environment, huge mat space, a lot of really good practitioners. Some nights we have over a dozen black belts on the mat, and they're all great instructors and practitioners. But we're in an environment where our students are spoiled. They're really, we really are, and I guess that's good and bad in a way. I try to run the school in a way that I would have most thoroughly enjoyed as a white belt, and I can say we do that. So sometimes it gets our students in trouble because they'll go to another academy and not always know the etiquette. Like some academies, you don't ask higher belts to roll, right? Because that's disrespectful. You don't go ask the professor to roll, right? I might have some white belt go visit a school like, hey, can I roll with you, Andre Gabal? And they'll be like, who's this guy? So
Take him out the back door.
exactly. Yeah, so I always try to do the dishes. Every day you got to do dishes, and tell people, like, if you're gonna go visit, come talk to me. I'll tell you what's up, with going out and being a representative of this school. And yeah, it's a really, really good environment. I don't think you have to be great at jiu-jitsu to warrant being treated as good as anyone should be treated. I think if you're a, a mom in her middle ages and you just want to try because it looks cool, you should get every bit as much attention as that 20-year-old purple belt trying to win worlds. It just for those people that are extra, we have other programs too that they can put in extra time, so we give them extra attention. But nobody should be getting neglected on the mat. If you're out of shape and you're nervous and you're scared and you don't want to speak up and you're hiding in the corner, I'm going to go find you and I'm going to say, okay, let's do this technique and make sure you're at least getting some attention, you know? So that's what we're about.
No doubt that you're doing amazing things. No
Thank you.
doubt that your life brought you to this point, which is a very, very interesting path. And as I mentioned earlier, I believe that most would quit and when just make it much, much easier for themselves. And yet here you are. So my head goes off to you. I bow to you. What an amazing story. What a determination to just be helpful and continue trying. So Tom, thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for being vulnerable and just being good human. I think we need more people like that. So this place would be a very different if everybody was so kind. So I appreciate you. Thank you.
And I appreciate you too and your podcast and keep spreading the good words. And I'll see you soon sometime. Okay.
Let's wrap this up for today.
All right. Thank you. Peace.
Thank you for listening to RŌL Radio. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to leave us a review and help us make the show even more amazing. For future episodes, check out our website and follow us on all major podcast platforms. Take care.